Something in my mind makes me think that ain't nobody perfect. Something in my mind makes me think that ain't nobody perfect.
What's up guys, it's BT here, and it seems like every time I log online I get this question: hey BT, what's better, the Apex Pro or the Razer Huntsman TE? Hey BT, what's better, the Huntsman Pro or the Apex Pro, or the Huntsman Pro or the Apex TE, or the Now, I kind of touched on this before in my other video, but I want to do a straight up comparison for you guys because I still get this question to this day, even though I felt like I somewhat answered it in that video. Now, this isn't going to be a full review of each product, but instead just a comparison of the main points of this keyboard that I think are important to you guys and what you guys are wondering about. If you do want to see my full reviews, I will be linking them down below so you can check them out. Before we begin though guys, I want to tell you guys a little bit about today's sponsor, Dashlane. Dashlane makes it easy to manage everything from autofilling your personal information like addresses, credit cards, passwords, and more. They generate super secure passwords, plus all the passwords that you do store with them are encrypted, making the password manager the safest place to store your info. It also has amazing security features that protect you from dark web monitoring and can even alert you when your account or password has been compromised. I personally found the password health score to be very valuable as well for just telling me how strong or weak my passwords are. They also have a VPN so you won't be tracked when you're browsing the internet and can access content all over the world. So head on over to dashlane.com/Brandon to try it on your first device, and when you want to upgrade to premium, you can use my code Brandon to get 50% off. In my opinion, this is a small price to pay for peace of mind. Now, starting off with the price right out the get-go, the Apex Pro TKL is $180. Yikes. Now keep in mind you are getting a wrist rest here and you're getting that OLED screen, so it is going to come with a premium, whereas the Razer Huntsman TE is just kind of like a bare bones keyboard. There's no wrist rest. This thing is meant to be used as like a tournament edition, which is where the name comes from. Now the Huntsman TE can be found for about $130, and if you want to add a wrist rest, you can do that for another $20. Me personally, I don't use wrist rests generally, so this doesn't really bug me, but something to consider if you guys are into them. But still, gimmicks aside, OLED aside, I think that the Huntsman TE is at a better premium price of $130. Now moving on to the build quality, I do feel like the Steelseries is built a little bit better than the Razer Huntsman TE. The Apex Pro is made out of that aircraft grade aluminum alloy. The Huntsman TE does have an aluminum matte top, but it is still made out of plastic on the bottom. So when you hold these two side by side, you're gonna feel like the Steelseries is built better. Now the Apex Pro does have that OLED screen up at the top where you can put GIFs, you can control the actuation point and control your profiles and things like that. And it also does have a pass-through for USB as well. So if you wanna plug in like a wireless headset or wireless mouse, you can do that. And you can have that through the keyboard and not have to plug that into your actual computer, which is nice. The Apex Pro does have a non-detachable cord, which I do not like. The Huntsman TE does have a detachable cord, so in that aspect, I like the Huntsman. The cord is thick on the Steelseries, but if anything happens to that cord, or if you just want to jazz up your setup, hey, you're out of luck. But if you don't care about that sort of thing, if you don't care about customization, the cool coiled cables, the Apex Pro will do you just fine. But me personally, I'm always a fan of having that flexibility. So for the build, I give it slightly to the Apex Pro. It offers you a lot more, feels more solidly built than the Razer Huntsman TE. As for the keycaps, this is where the Razer Huntsman just blows the Apex Pro TKL out of the water. With the Apex Pro, you're getting these flimsy ABS thin keycaps that are probably going to shine. In fact, mine shined within a day of having them, whereas on the Razer Huntsman TE, you are getting PBT double shot, and these feel amazing. I have the green ones on my keyboard right now, and that comes to my second point, is that they have all these different colors that are made for the Razer keyboard. They're about $20 to $30, which is a great price. Now you can change the keycaps on both of these keyboards, so if that's something that you want to do, that's always available. But straight up keycap for keycap, the Razer Huntsman TE blows the Apex Pro TKL out of the water, so it is the winner for this round. All right, so let's talk about everybody's favorite topic and probably the main attraction of this comparison. The OmniPoint switches are of course this proprietary switch from Steelseries. They have a 0.4 to 3.6 6mm actuation point, so you can change where the actuation or where the key press will register along the travel distance. Now you can of course change this by the software or the OLED screen on the Steelseries. But they did kind of cheap out here, as they are only on the main section of the keyboard. They're not on the arrow keys or any of the outside surrounding keys. So I feel like they kind of tried to save money here, and they kind of ripped us off in a way. There's honestly really no reason for them not to put it on every single key. So you can change each individual key to a certain actuation, which is kind of cool. If you want to have your WASD different from your Q or your tab or your spacebar, you can do that. Now I couldn't find the official force needed for this switch, but if I were to close my eyes and you put this keyboard in front of me, I would think that it would be a red switch. So I'm guessing it's around 45 grams for the actuation force. So yes, you are getting this kind of higher up actuation, but most people are going to be bottoming out anyways. So yes, it will register faster, but at the same time, your fingers, it really just depends on how fast you are moving your fingers. And I will get more into what I think about that after we talk about the Razer Huntsman switches, which are the opto-mechanical switches. Now the opto-mechanical switches from Razer are these optical switches where when you press it down, a beam shoots to the other side and it automatically registers the key press. It has a actuation point of 1mm, and the response time on it is instant, whereas on the Apex Pro you're going to have a 0.7 millisecond response time. Now keep in mind, this is still a mechanical switch with no optical technology, so you're going to have debouncing. So the response time on the Razer Huntsman is still going to be faster than on the Apex Pro. Even though the Apex Pro is faster than like a normal Cherry MX switch, still we're in a comparison here and the Razer beats it here. Now the Razer Huntsman switches do have these little stabilizers on them, and it makes it super loud compared to the Apex Pro. Sound wise, I 100% prefer the Omni Point switches over the Razer switches. So if that's something that really nags you or bugs you, some people don't like that rattle and some people don't like the loudness of the Huntsman TE, then the Apex Pro is going to be the one that you want to go with. Now the optomechanical switches from Razer do have a 40 gram actuation force, so that means it's going to be a lot faster. It's going to feel a lot quicker. You're going to be actually able to press down the button and bottom out faster than you would on the Apex Pro. So when people ask me what's faster, the Razer Huntsman is the faster keyboard. If you guys were having a typing test, if you guys were doing some type of gaming, the Huntsman is going to be the faster keyboard, especially if you want to tap, because the force needed to press down that switch is less than on the OmniPoint switch. Even though the OmniPoint switch is higher, it kind of balances out with the Huntsman because the force is less on the Huntsman. Let's say you have a car. It's a heavy car, but you put a fast motor in it. That is the Apex Pro TKL OmniPoint switches. On the other hand, you have the Razer that has a lighter car and has a slightly, very slightly less fast motor. Which one do you think is going to go faster? Of course, the lighter car with the slightly faster motor. So let's drop a sound test for you guys so you guys can hear the difference between these two keyboards. Now, if you only care about performance, you don't care about sound, you just want the fastest switch, you just want something that's just going to be accurate, instant response time, the Razer Huntsman is going to be the one to go with. If you want something more smoother, a more pleasant experience, where if you lay your fingers on the keyboard, it's not going to press down on accident like you will with the Razer Huntsman, then the Apex Pro is going to be better. So I hope that kind of clears the air of which one is going to be better. So for all you cracked Fortnite players, I think the Razer Huntsman is going to be the better choice overall. So if you're building like a fiend, go with the Razer Huntsman TE. Now, software is just software. I think they're both bloated. I think they both need to minimize their software. It just is what it is. You can control the RGB on both, which they both have. They're pretty much equal in that regard. You guys know the vibe. Steelseries engine, Razer, Synapse, they both need work. They're too bloated, so they both lose. There is no winner for software. If one of them could actually just make it so it's just plug and play, you don't need that software, that would be all the better. All right, that would make all of our lives better, right? All right, guys, that's gonna do it for this video on the Razer Huntsman TE versus the Apex Pro TKL. So here are my recommendations. If you guys want the fastest keyboard out, you guys don't care about sound, you just want performance, go with the Razer Huntsman TE. If you want something a little bit smoother, a little bit better of a build quality, you want that OLED screen, you want the pass-through, the extra features, then go with the Apex Pro. Easy enough. All right, guys, it has been your boy BT. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.